Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Austin Burdette, and he is a product manager and business development manager for our industrial gearing division, and we'll be discussing the P2E series. Hey, Austin, how are you doing today?
Hey, you're doing great, Coley. Thanks for having me on, man.
Super happy to have you. And today we're going to be discussing our P2E series gearbox and our industrial gearing line. So why don't you go ahead and tell our folks and our customers what the P2E stands for and why it came about.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely, man. So super excited to be here and talk about the P2E. It's a really cool product extension for the P2 series, our renowned Planetary industrial gear unit. So what this really does is gives us some lower ratios and allows us to target some new markets with that.
Awesome. So lower ratios is definitely a huge plus. And what are these newer ratios? Because I mean, you said we had the P2 or the P series, and why were the extra ratios needed?
Sure. Yeah. So the new ratios are about 15 to 1 up to 332 to 1 nominal. Yeah. And then the P2 ratios used to be, I think, 150 and then all the way up into the thousands.
So we still have the thousands covered with our P2 series, but now we're really getting that 15 to 100 to 1 ratio. And I'm assuming that has some benefits. So what are some industries that might be excited about these new lower ratios?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think the cement industry, pulp and paper, and then also forestry will be some main targets, and then many others as well can benefit.
Awesome. And those I know just from working with our industrial gearing department are some big targets for us. So I'm glad we're getting something kind of tailored to some of their needs. And where could you find these in some of these industries? Where are some applications it might be used in?
Sure. Clinker breakers would be one for pulp and paper, just like different mixers and agitators. Maybe some debarking drums as well for forestry.
Yeah, we're already talking about some big name applications that I'm sure a lot of people will be excited about. And with these new P2E series, I know on the P2, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we needed an intermediate gearbox before our motor. Is that still the case with our P2E?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So yes, you're right. The original P2 required like a K or an R box input. So it was a pre-stage unit. But with the P2E, we actually don't require that anymore. So it's a true coax Planetary.
That is very cool. I know that a lot of customers were always a little bit confused as why they had to have the additional gearbox. So it's great that we no longer need that in between the motor and our Planetary. What are some additional benefits that the P2E might bring to the table that our P2 might not have had?
Sure. So also cooling is a big one too. So the original P2s did not have any standard cooling options. So P2E brings that to the table now. So we have some shaft fans, which is great.
Awesome. And just one more thing I'd like to talk about, just thinking about it with that intermediate gearbox. Losing that intermediate gearbox, I'm sure this is going to be a more compact solution, but do we lose any of the torque or any of the drive that we had taking that intermediate stage out?
Yeah, great point. No, so we do not. So the P2E is kind of just an extension of the P2 product. So we still use the same Planetary gearhead that's been proven.
And so we're not losing any torque and we're getting a more compact solution. I think that's a win-win, at least in my book it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that is awesome. Is there anything else we really need to know about the P2E or anything else you want to share?
Sure. Yeah. Just briefly mention, we do have some new marketing literature out. So we have the Generation P2E pamphlet here. You can find it on the SEW-EURODRIVE website.
And if they have any issues with that, I'm sure their local sales representative would be happy to track one down for them. So with that, I don't think there's anything else we want to talk about. I think that's a great little 10,000 foot view of our new P2E. And I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.